computer. Hey, everybody. It says recording.
We're all good. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Sterling here. Everybody's excited. Like 600 questions came in.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and how's your lovely wife, Linda?
Doing just great. I think she and Daniel worked on the questions as well this week. So
Right.
kind of filtered them down. So
yeah, they're a good team. He enjoys
Yeah.
working with her, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's all good. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, my friend, let's do this. We got questions, you guys, right here in Northern California City. You're in Southern California. Okay, from the other side, can you tell us if Sylvia Brown has any messages for us?
Yes. And actually, I'm not sure. She's come through a couple of times over the last few weeks, which is kind of interesting.
She's come through for you?
She has, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting. But there were two major messages she wanted to share with everybody. And so I promised I would share them. The first was that when she was here, she wished she spent more time showing people how to use their psychic gifts and how to communicate with their guides, because she felt it might have come off a little bit one-sided when she was in public quite a bit, on TV and whatnot. But
right.
One, share, how people develop their own gift.
Right.
And then the second thing she said was that she realized more now when she's on the other side that just like on the other side when you pass on, there's a lot of energy levels that people exist on. She realized that actually those same energy levels exist here on Earth. And
really?
So when you're dealing with people, that it's very important for how you work with people and deal with people. People are actually existing on different energy levels and planes here.
Okay.
So, and a good way to look at that is some people are more tuned into the universe, more spiritual, others are not. So those are the two things that she wanted to convey up front. So I told her I would do it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. Next question. Will any of Trump's taxes or the financial records be leaked prior to the election? Will it make a difference? Question mark.
So the answer to that is yes and yes. So right now, very shortly, I think Congress, so the House and the Senate, are going to get copies of the taxes. They'll actually start an internal investigation. And I still see a leak coming before the election through the New York Times.
Okay.
So this is either an affiliate of the New York Times. It looked like somebody that might have been employed by the New York Times at one point, and maybe they're not now, but they're affiliated. So there's a New York Times connection to it. Yeah, the leak.
So funny too, because when I look, I keep hearing the word leak.
Right.
So, okay, awesome, my friend. Why does Trump want to break from who?
Because it's indicting him in the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So he feels that by distancing himself from World Health Organization, he can put the blame on them, like that they didn't notify him fast enough about the severity, and he's trying to make the World Health Organization the fall guy.
But he won't accomplish that, right? Because
no,
Biden will be in when.
Yeah.
Okay. What are portals? Can humans access them?
Yes, so two types of portals. We talk about portals kind of in an energetic sense. There are space portals, and then there are spiritual portals.
Yeah, there's definitely space portals.
Yeah, and the space portals relate more to travel. So how you kind of travel throughout space.
Okay.
And the spiritual portals have more to do with energetic dimension and level. And so for those that are, if you're clairvoyant and you meditate, yeah, absolutely can, from a spiritual standpoint, move through portals. Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, there's just two different types when you talk about that. Yeah.
So when I get hits, and I get some strong hits by someone on the other side, am I going through a portal to talk to them?
Many times you are, or they're reaching down through a portal to connect. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now that SCOTUS has ruled POTUS is not above the law, will Barr realize he too must obey subpoenas?
No. So, they don't learn so fast. But here's the thing with Barr, the clock's going to run out. So,
that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. This is what you call playing beat the clock. And they're going to stall and play lots of games. And the clock's going to run out. So, we're not going to see a lot before the election, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, they just said that now Congress says they need to impeach Barr. But they could start it up, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I know he's going down in shame. That I know.
Yeah, well, at the very least, he's going to be disbarred. That'll be the first thing that happens. And then there's going to be, no, this is kind of probably after the election is the way I see it, not before the election.
Okay.
But yeah, and then from there, it's going to get very interesting. He'll be dragged into court for a number of years, and it'll be a long battle, and you'll see it in the news every once in a while. So yeah.
It wasn't worth it.
Right.
His health isn't that good either. I've often seen that. Okay, in the future.
Cardiac problems.
Yeah. In the future, do you see flying cars?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they've already started. They've already started making an appearance. So we see lots of applications of air power type vehicles. And but here's the interesting part about that. They're actually going to come on the scene, I feel, pretty heavily in about 5 years here, let's say 2025. And the very first auto manufacturer that will be pushing them will be Elon Musk with Tesla. So, and I see the first application of flying cars will be in what I'll call rural routes. So they'll be less metropolitan, like
Right.
maybe like Los Angeles to Las Vegas. So
There
you
you
can use them going Los Angeles, Las Vegas, but you can't use them in downtown LA.
Okay.
So that'll be the first kind of application, yeah.
Okay, cryonics is the science of preserving a human body only to revive it in the future. Will it work, or is it a waste of time and money?
The way we apply it now, it's not going to be very successful and not successful. But
No.
what we're missing is there's actually a substance that be injected into the body that actually doesn't exist on Earth right now, but will be brought through from our alien friends.
Okay.
So it's a substance that you'll be able to inject into the body. Then that will help you reanimate the person. And the reason that's critical, our alien friends already do it. So they already have the experience on how to freeze and reanimate. So that technology hasn't been brought to us yet, but will be, those are in 5 years from now, could be like 5 to 10, but
Right.
we don't have
Not right in the immediate future, yeah. So are leprechauns and fairies real?
Yes, but they exist at a lower energy level. So they're not in the angelic realm. They're a much lower energy level. They're here primarily to protect certain regions on Earth. So they kind of protect certain regions. And then there are two types for me. There's a type that really have kind of they're good at heart, they're benevolent, based around love. And there's others that try to create chaos.
Yeah.
Try to create chaos because they think it's funny. So
Okay.
a different kind of spirit.
Can you tell us anything about the shift that is supposed to occur? I think it's occurring now, but.
100%, 100%. So when people talk about the shift, I think in some places people thought it was going to be like you flip the switch. It's Thursday and then Friday you experience the shift.
Okay.
But the shift is occurring right now as we speak, in the world, in the universe, under our feet. And what's happening is, and I see it all the time, more and more people, spiritual, connected with the other side. People that don't even know they're talking to guides or angels say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm getting a message for, XYZ, whatever it is.
Right.
And they're already starting to talk with the other side. So it's a universal shift, more spirituality and talking to the other side. The veil is thinning on the other side.
Okay. Yeah. I feel we're going into a higher vibrational level, and it
Exactly.
can't be helped. It's time. It's time. So now listen, I answered this question. I just did a video before. I didn't post it yet, but I'll be curious what your answer is, because I did the same thing, because I'm getting a lot of people asking. Why are the elephants in Botswana mysteriously dying? I'm curious what your answer is.
For me, this is related to an extension of the COVID virus. So there's an element of the COVID, what we're calling the COVID-19 virus, that affects the elephants. But what's interesting is that through analysis and through what I'll call autopsy on the elephants, we're actually going to be able to discover some of the antibodies that some of the elephants have, and that's going to be somewhat helpful. Now, for me, I remember weeks ago we were talking about like the blueprint for COVID-19 coming from a remote part of the world. And, it wouldn't surprise me if maybe in that area of the world is where some of these developments happen. But for me, it looks like it's related around the COVID virus. So,
I definitely felt it wasn't murder. Didn't feel the people were out killing them. I felt it was something they might even digest.
mhm.
I felt like it might be some bacteria or some,
Mhm.
like you said, like a virus or something. Well, and it takes them down quickly. What's going to happen to the animals in the Arctic and other places where the ice is thawing at an incredible rate?
Yeah, I mean that's a change in the climate in the world, and a lot of those animals are going to actually get used to a warmer environment. So it's a shift in kind of how they exist on the planet. So
Okay.
it's a shift in how they function in warmer environments. Um, yeah, and it's really no more complex than that. Yeah.
Okay. Will term limits be supported by the Senate?
Yeah, I see a sweeping change in that area because what I see is right now, if you look at, so you look at the House, I think they're every 2 years. I see that shifting to 4 years because
Okay.
2 years is too short. And then if you look at, what is the Senate, it's going to go from 6 years down to 4 years. So I
Okay.
do
That's
see
what I
them
was
kind
thinking
of
too. Yeah.
almost they're going to put everything in alignment around 4 years for me to try to put some more equilibrium back in how
Right.
people serve. Yeah, yeah.
Will Michael Cohen be able to release his book prior to the election?
I don't see the full book coming out, to be honest. I think we had this question last week, but I do see a very significant chapter. Might, for all I know, be chapter 1 in the book, which is kind of epilogue of everything experienced around the exit of his dealings with Trump and kind of everything that happened at the very end.
Right.
It looks like to me it's chapter 1 coming out.
Well, I just answered that on my
Yeah.
video, and I just said that I felt he had many things, and they hadn't quite pieced them together. But when I hear that they're trying to get him to sign a paper that he won't release a book, that's why he went back to jail. I almost felt immediately, well, you dummy, the book's already written.
Yeah,
So his attorney has everything.
they do.
They just need him to connect some of the dots but I almost feel like you said, it might not be the whole book, but it's a good chunk.
We're in agreement there. And by the way,
Yeah.
that whole restaurant situation that you
That
saw,
was bogus. I was
no,
mad at him.
that was a setup. That was
Oh.
a setup. I mean, for me, I'm just telling you, I think it was going to come out in the news, but it was a setup that this is something that's been authorized. We need, to sign a couple of papers. They set him up.
So he thought he was okay going to the restaurant.
He did.
Do you see any medical advancements towards Alzheimer's disease in 8 to 10 years?
I do, and it actually is centered still around our work with genes and gene splicing. So a couple of Sundays we talked about this.
Right.
It looks like the advancements in that area of understanding gene splicing opens the door for a whole lot of management, I'll say, of a lot of diseases that mankind has around cancer,
Right.
and Alzheimer's, and diabetes and everything. So it's yeah.
I had an Alzheimer's spirit come to me. I was reading this woman, and I could tell she was worried about getting Alzheimer's. And her dad, who died of the disease, walked through the door like they do. And he told me at that time, and this is almost going on 2 years, they will have a pill, and there are actually 2 pills on the market now that prevents you. It doesn't cure Alzheimer's, but it just prevents it from getting worse.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Will there be any food shortages in the United States? If I keep shopping, there will.
Nothing that I would call significant. And the reason I say that is it looks to me like what's going to happen is there's going to be more technology applied to the digital supply chain. That is the overall food supply chain and how it's managed.
Mhm.
So it's going to get managed more efficiently. So
Okay.
it's almost like in prior years, they pushed as much food through the supply chain as they could. And even if it was too much, that was okay. Now they have to be very critical of how they manage it. So more technology, I think,
Okay,
can be applied to managing the food supply chain. So it's almost like just-in-time manufacturing, like they have in Japan for automotive manufacturing,
okay,
where it's called the Kanban system. But yeah.
okay. So the harmonic convergence event starts July 5th and ends July 15th, which is almost here now.
Huh?
This group is hoping to initiate first contact. Will they be successful?
Not in that sense. Let's put it that way. So I think that my understanding of that whole event is they're going to do a 10-day live streaming event around the world to kind of bring together prayer and kind of universality of mankind.
And that's always good.
Yeah, no, that's great. But I think in terms of, is that going to initiate a first contact with aliens, I think is what the inference is there. That's already happened. So it's not that event that's going to trigger a first contact, with aliens. But it'll be more public 2025, another 5 years here with aliens. Yeah.
Okay. So when we pass, are we obligated to see our relatives on the other side?
Somebody asking that question has got a trouble with their relatives.
I read a lot of people that it's
Yeah.
almost a knee-jerk thing. And here's the thing, when you go over there, it's a horse of a different color. It's all been predestined, and you don't have actually the choice. Energetically, if that person needs to tell you they're sorry, they need to, there's a healing that needs to take place. Sometimes the things you find most repulsive are the ones that you had more of an attachment to in other lives. So
Yeah, no, very true. For me, when you pass over, you're usually greeted by people that you're the most close to on earth, kind of a thing.
Right.
So it's your mother, your grandfather, whatnot. But then you see the larger spiritual family, and so that might be the 10 or 15 people you knew on earth, plus about the
yeah, and it'll help if
Yeah.
you see you abused that same person in life before and you had made this agreement to come in. Because if you think as man thinks, and with that energy of hate, that holding that sword doesn't help your progress over there. So you almost have to allow all this so you can heal.
Yeah, you see things in a much different perspective when you cross over. So a lot of the hate and discontent and discord that you saw here, you don't see when you pass on. So you're looking down on your life. It's a different thing. You take different
Yeah.
feelings with you. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the U.S. economy for the next 6 months?
Still under a lot of strain, just due to the fact that a lot of businesses are shut down. I mean, no secret there. So a lot of industries are shut down and can't generate the revenue. So the sales tax revenue is not coming in, affects everything. So a little difficult as we get through the end of the year. As we get to next year, the Biden presidency will put forth another plan that will actually, influx a lot of cash into the economy.
Well, he's gonna reverse Trump's things towards rich. Yeah.
So yeah, until we get that extra major stimulus package, there'll be another one probably before the end of the year, but it won't be the size of what Biden will do in the beginning of next year. So.
Okay. So, but I do see the drops in the stock market again coming up.
And that's because it's artificially propped up right now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will the lower courts that SCOTUS referred the tax return issue to actually give the SDNY the returns before the election?
100%. 100%. Yes.
Wow.
100%.
And also there's a leak, remember?
Yeah. And, a lot of these, publicly, I think the watchword is, oh, nobody has the taxes. There's a lot of groups that already have the financial records of taxes, already have them. Okay. But they have to be careful how they talk about it.
Right. Andrew Yang supports universal basic income for all Americans. Will this income come to fruition?
Not in the way Andrew Yang envisioned it, and the reason for that, what I get is it has a lot to do with the metering of the funds, like how the funds get distributed, who gets them, and then how you measure the success. So all those things won't come into play, but if they get into the Biden presidency, there's going to be a lot more. They're going to change the tax code, so the way money flows back into the economy will be a little different. So it'll still be helpful. But it won't be the Yang policy. Yeah.
Will the oil industry rebound in Canada? Hail Britannia.
Yeah. You know, that's a difficult situation because you know, there's a large portion of Canadian oil that gets brought to the U.S. U.S. is one of the biggest customers.
And yet
Uh,
we do our own.
yeah,
The petroleum company that has leases on me and my sister's land in Oklahoma and our tribe, some of it belongs to our tribe. They just filed bankruptcy.
yeah, yeah. It's a situation where the U.S. is really weaning themselves off of oil in the kind of the longer run here, getting more sustainable energy. And so when you ask, is the Canadian oil industry going to recover? It's not going to go back to what it was, and it's going to get kind of increasingly more difficult because the U.S. is one of the biggest customers, and
Okay.
that's going to start to go away. So yeah.
Okay. Do animals protect us from negative spirits on the other realm?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, animals are kind of interesting. They see spirit very easily. And so whether it's animals that passed on or spirits that really shouldn't be there, they do. So they're almost like sage.
Right, exactly.
They sweep the house. So
If Trump leaves before his term in January, which I think he will Pence pardon him?
he won't get that opportunity. So Pence will not be in a situation to get that opportunity, you know, no. So it won't happen.
But it's interesting because I looked at this too, and I felt Pence was actually in a place he couldn't do it. Like everybody's looking at him saying, you better not, you know. I just feel Trump has to get out though. Because when the changing of the guards happened, when Biden
Right.
comes in, it's not, and he even told some news reporter he would not go to the affair if Biden gets in.
Exactly.
Inauguration.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the question was like whether Pence will be in a position to pardon Trump. I don't see that. I don't see him being in a position.
Yeah, because Pence is in trouble too.
Right, right.
Does CBD or cannabis have real medical benefits?
It does, and you know, and actually, you know, that's been proven, believe it or not, over like 5,000 years, going way back to the Chinese. You know, so for 5,000 years, you know, but it's only been kind of recent advancements, to say recent decades, if you will, that I think, you know, we figured out good ways to take out the THC, which is, you know, the ingredient that makes you high.
Right. I know it helps my dog, Lulu.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But now being able to economically remove the THC in a way that you can mass produce it is now, you know, becoming, you know, easier.
Okay.
But yeah, it definitely has medical benefits. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. There's 5 more questions and we like to keep it on the 30 and we're over now. So I'll pass these for next time, next Sunday.
Okay.
Unless you want to have them now.
Fine with me either way. We could do them now if you want, or.
Okay, well, we can do them now. Do you see any changes happening within the entertainment industry?
Yeah, significant sweeps in the entertainment industry, moving towards, I'll call it less crowd-based entertainment. So that includes movie theaters and theme parks and places.
I
Live
was
concerts.
just fantasizing about how much I love going to the movies, and I'm wondering if these days are gone.
Less crowd-based in kind of a new world, and more technology to create premium experiences in more isolated situations, whether it's your living room or whatnot. But I'd also see, and I have seen, holographic technology will become very, very instrumental. So you actually witness, you know, a live concert in the living room as, you know, the Rolling Stones are being projected in your living room, but in a way that they look like they're there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's coming down the road, but we'll see a shift towards less crowd-based entertainment.
I've never seen a Stones concert. Never had a desire to. But even can they do like remakes of even people who've died, like Tom Petty, and put them on?
Absolutely.
That would be cool, because I never saw a Tom Petty concert. I wish I had.
CGI technology. And
real quick in between this question, will they bring back drive-in movies?
You know, I was just going to mention that the fact that right now, as an interim step, a lot of live concerts now are starting to lean on drive-in movie theaters. So you stay in your car, but you could still see Tom Petty, you know, play. So kind of a thing. So yeah, the drive-in movie theaters are becoming kind of a crutch
Okay.
as the life concert industry figures out what to do. Sure.
What brings true happiness? That's a minor question.
Oh, that's that's easy. But you know what? It's developing your own spirit and your own purpose in the universe, but also helping others do the same. So
Right,
it's almost like a bilateral thing, which creates kind of a synergy, if you will, of energy. So it's you living to your highest purpose and then helping others live
right.
their
But
yeah.
what I'll probably do down the road here, and I think there's a lot of masters like Eckhart Tolle that talk about this, but getting out of your own way sometimes. People get tied up in this constant going through their head and all these old tapes. True
Sure.
happiness is actually just being present,
Right.
looking at the vista of life and standing in awe. Who listens to our prayers? Well, for Trump, it's Satan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's easy. It's really our spiritual guides and our angels and the universe. They really are all on the same. They're on the same wavelength with their prayers. So they really everybody kind of gets together almost as a football team and
Right,
helps. So
right.
yeah.
Do you see anything coming up this week that's significant?
Yeah, two things. I think we alluded to part of it. I think you're going to see some more public and very prominent ways in which the Trump tax returns are going to get distributed and get access, internal investigations. But I also this morning I was picking up something else which is interesting.
What?
It has to do with water. So it has to do with water safety measures across the nation, with areas like Michigan had all the problems with water and lead in the water. But
Yeah,
I picked up some significant issues and legislation coming up around water and water safety.
okay.
So that's something coming up this week, which is what I was told. So.
I feel somebody significant in the administration is leaving. I don't know who it is. Someone has left, but it was somebody more name. When you say the name, you recognize them. Somebody's getting ready to go. And you know they'll all start flaking off as we get a little deeper into November.
Yeah, it's almost like rats on a ship that's going
Yeah,
down, right?
that's how I used to say it on my videos.
Yeah,
Rats on a ship.
yeah.
Do you guys have a message for us?
Pure and simple, and I think people, need to, I guess, internalize this. You have to trust your internal soul and your wisdom, because that's coming from a universal place.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of people I talk to, probably same with you, as you talked about certain things, they'll say, "I thought so. I heard that. I felt that."
Oh, I
But
felt that too.
and people don't trust it. So my message from the guides is trust your inner soul and your wisdom. They're actually leading you the right direction.
Right.
Don't second guess it. So,
Right. It's like on a radio tuning into a certain specific frequency.
it
And
is.
we can all turn into the same channel and get the same. Because there's a lot of people that write me that get hits the same way I do. And I say, they're on it, They know they're getting it. A lot of the psychics, the YouTube psychics, they may say it a different way, but it's almost like we're all saying the same thing, which is cool.
Everybody's tuned into the same radio station. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, okay, my friend. Thank you
And
very
if
much.
I was saying, if anybody needs to reach me, it's sterlingpsychicmedium.com. So,
Yeah, I'll be sure to put that on the page.
okay.
Bye, you guys.